The soft spaces between words. The signs that he can't stop thinking about you, not the ones you search for on purpose, but the ones that whisper when everything else goes quiet. If your heart is tired of guessing, stay. If your soul is craving something real, stay. We're not here to decode a man. We're here to see you. And maybe to see the truth he's too afraid to say out loud. So take a breath. Let yourself land. Let me speak to that part of you that still waits by a door you never fully closed. And if this speaks to something inside you, something unspoken, fragile and real, subscribe, like, share. Not out of obligation, but because your story deserves to be heard too. Let's begin. The first sign is silence, but not the kind that comes from indifference. No, this silence is heavy, full, pregnant with words that never found their way out. It's the kind of quiet that lingers long after a conversation ends. The kind that wakes you in the middle of the night with a feeling you can't name. It isn't just absence, it's presence, unspoken. He doesn't reach out not because he's forgotten, but because he remembers too much. Every word, every glance, every goodbye that didn't feel like the end. He replays them not because he's stuck in the past, but because he doesn't know how to walk into the future without you. Sometimes he types out a message, deletes it, writes it again, saves your name in drafts. He watches your stories from a second account, lingers too long on your last photo, tells himself it's curiosity, but we both know it isn't. He's not watching because he's moved on. He's watching because he's haunted. The second sign is the way he mirrors you, your phrases, your habits, the tiny ways you used to touch his world. He still plays that song you loved, even if it doesn't make sense anymore. Orders his coffee the way you used to like it. Laughs at jokes no one else understands. When he talks to people, sometimes your voice slips through his, not because he's trying to imitate you, but because you became part of him when he wasn't paying attention. You shaped him, and now he can't shake you. The third sign, it's his restlessness. He moves through women like borrowed jackets, tries them on, wears them out, but nothing quite fits. Nothing feels like home. He says it's timing, or bad luck. But deep down he knows. He's not looking for someone new. He's looking for the way he felt with you. That rare, aching comfort. That silent knowing. That softness he never thought he'd lose. And even when he's with someone else, he compares. Not out loud, not cruelly, but subtly, in the quiet, after midnight, in the dark, when truth doesn't have to be polite. He wonders where you are, who you're with, if you still think of him. Sign 4 is vulnerability, but only when he forgets to protect himself. It's in the moment he sees your name and can't hide the tremble in his voice, the pause before he answers, the shift in his tone. He's tried to build walls. He's tried to be cool, distant, fine, but your presence makes him human again. He breaks a little every time you show up, and yet he doesn't push you away. Not really, because deep down, you are still the only place he ever truly felt safe. The fifth sign, he remembers what you thought he forgot, your birthday. That novel you said you loved, the weird candy you used to eat when you were sad. He may not say it out loud, but he remembers. It lives in him, and when he's in a store and sees it on the shelf, he stares at it a little too long. Not because he wants it, but because it reminds him of a time when things were simpler, softer, when love was possible. The sixth sign is harder to see, but once you feel it, you'll never unfeel it. It's in his eyes, the way they soften when he looks at you, the way he avoids eye contact just a little too much or holds it just a little too long, the way his gaze flickers when someone says your name, like a muscle memory he can't unlearn. It's not always obvious, but it's there. That flicker, that ache, because your name still means something to him, even if he buries it in small talk and laughter, even if he's mastered the art of pretending. Sign 7, he listens for your voice, even when you're not speaking. In crowded rooms, at parties, online, in passing, he catches phrases that sound like you and turns his head before he can stop himself. He watches for signs of you the way lost sailors scan the horizon for land, not because he's lost, exactly, but because you were once his compass and now he's drifting. The eighth sign is jealousy, quiet, subtle, unspoken. He won't say he's bothered. He may even act amused. But if he hears you've moved on, If he sees you laughing a little too freely with someone else, something shifts. Not rage, not cruelty, but sorrow. That soft, bitter ache of knowing someone else might now be holding the place he never really let go of. He won't confront you, but he'll feel it, like a bruise that still hurts when pressed. Signina? He brings you up casually, as if you were just someone he used to know, but the tone betrays him. He'll laugh too quickly, change the subject too fast, or pause too long, and you'll know. You'll know you're not just a memory, you're a presence, a question, a maybe. Because if you didn't matter, he wouldn't still be finding reasons to mention you. And the 10th sign, the one that matters most, he never really closed the door. He didn't slam it shut. He didn't lock it behind him. He left it cracked just enough for you to wonder, for him to hope. He'll act like it's over, but his heart, it's still waiting, quietly, patiently, foolishly maybe, but waiting nonetheless. And that door, you felt it too, haven't you? That invisible thread tying your breath to his. You go about your day. You try to move on. You tell yourself he's just a lesson, but something keeps circling back. Not out of weakness, not because you're stuck, but because some connections, they don't dissolve, they transform. And sometimes, they wait. You notice it in the stillness, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're reaching for your coat, that flicker of him, like his soul leans toward yours in moments you least expect. And you wonder if he feels it too. He does, because people don't forget the ones who saw them fully and stayed. Even if he left, even if he ran, even if he ghosted or broke you in 100 ways, there's a part of him that still holds you like a secret under his ribs. Maybe he doesn't know what to do with it. Maybe he never learned how to love without fear. Maybe he chose what was easy, or numb, or quiet. But his body remembers yours. His heart beats differently when your name shows up on a screen. And late at night, when the world goes still, that's when your absence screams the loudest. He thinks about the words he never said, the chances he didn't take, the apology that never left his lips. Not because he wants to fix everything, but because some wounds never quite scab over. They breathe, they ache, and your name is the softest part of that ache. He wonders what would happen if he reached out. He imagines it more often than he admits. The message, the call, the "I've been thinking about you." But then fear rushes in, fear that you've healed, that you've outgrown him, that the door he left open is now closed from your side. Still, he doesn't forget. He doesn't move through the world untouched by you. There are places he won't go because they remind him too much. Shows he skips, books he avoids, people he drifts from because you are scattered in everything. Like fingerprints on glass, like echoes in his bones. And sometimes, when he's brave, he lets himself feel it. He reads old conversations, watches the sky and wonders if you're looking at the same stars. He thinks about how you used to say his name, how you listened without interrupting, how you made him feel like he was worth something more than survival. No one has touched him that way since, and maybe he pretends it was nothing. A phase, a mistake. But pretending doesn't mean forgetting. It means hiding. It means swallowing the ache instead of speaking it. And that kind of ache, it grows. He sees you in places he shouldn't. In someone's smile, in a phrase on a billboard, in a scent he can't name. And every time, his heart stumbles. Like it knows, because it does. You're not just a chapter in his life. You're the sentence he keeps rereading, hoping it will sound different the next time. And maybe he hopes you'll reach out first, that you'll break the silence, that you'll say what he's too afraid to. Not because he wants to put it all on you, but because he doesn't trust his own hands to hold you gently. Not after everything. Still, he watches, he waits, he wonders. What if you're the one that got away because he never fought hard enough to stay? He carries that question like a stone in his chest. And sometimes, when he's alone with his thoughts, it becomes a weight he can't ignore. So he distracts himself. With work, with noise, with faces that don't mean what yours did. He tells himself he's fine, that it's over, that it wasn't real. But the heart never lies. Not in the quiet, not in the dark, not when your memory is the only thing that feels real anymore. And you feel it too. That unspoken thing, that pull. Maybe you've moved on, maybe you haven't. Maybe you still dream of him in colors too vivid to forget. Maybe you still wonder what would have happened if he stayed. But deep down, you already know. He hasn't stopped thinking about you. He doesn't know how, because love that deep doesn't vanish. It hides, it waits, it aches, and it hopes quietly, endlessly that maybe, just maybe, you feel the same. There's a moment brief, impossible to time, when you walk into a room and he forgets how to breathe. It's not dramatic. No one else notices. But something in him collapses and rebuilds itself in the span of a blink. You are still that gravity he doesn't understand. He tries to act normal. Smiles, nods, pretends he didn't just relive every memory of you in under 5 seconds. Pretends he didn't just wonder what would happen if he took your hand, pulled you close, whispered, "I never stopped." But he won't say it. He never does. Because somewhere along the way, he convinced himself you deserved better than the version of him who broke you. But that doesn't mean he let you go. He never did. He just buried you beneath all the things he couldn't say. He watches you laugh and feels a pang not of jealousy, but grief. You are still beautiful. Not just in the way you move or smile or exist, but in the way you carry your pain. In the way your eyes still search the room, hoping to find something real. He sees it, that flicker of ache in you, and he wonders if you still ache for him. Because if love was just about timing, you would have made it. If it was just about chemistry, you would have lasted. But it wasn't. It was about fear and growth and shadows neither of you were ready to walk through. But now, he carries a quiet knowing that he loved you wrong, or maybe just too late, and so he gives you space. He doesn't chase, doesn't beg, but not because he doesn't want to. He just thinks silence is what you need, what you deserve. Still, he checks in his own way, watches your life unfold from afar, not with bitterness but with something softer, something closer to reverence, because you didn't just leave. You changed him. He became a different man because of how you loved him, and even more because of how you left. He thinks about reaching out all the time, drafts messages in his head, imagines the sound of your voice again. But fear is a sharp thing. It whispers that too much time has passed, that you've closed the book, that the door he left ajar has long since rusted shut. And so he waits, silently, wounded, hopeful. And you wonder what it all meant, if he felt it too. If you were foolish to hold on for so long, if the late-night conversations, the shared silences, the way he looked at you like you were both the storm and the shelter, if any of it was real. Let me tell you, it was. And still, Island, some men just don't know how to hold what matters most. So they let it slip through their fingers and spend years aching for what they didn't protect. He's learned a lot since you. He's quieter now, less sure, but more honest. He's learned that not all connections are replaceable, that some people leave fingerprints on your soul, that some goodbyes are really just pauses in a conversation neither of you know how to finish. So when you ask yourself, does he still think about me? Know this, he does, in ways he'll never say out loud, in moments that catch him off guard, in the soft hours before dawn when regret speaks the loudest. You live in the spaces he doesn't show the world, in the glances he gives to no one, in the songs he can't stop replaying, in the ache he doesn't talk about. And maybe someday, he'll have the courage to tell you. Maybe he'll call, or write, or show up at your door with that look in his eyes, the one that says, "I never stopped." The one that says, "It was always you." But until then, he'll keep carrying you like a prayer he's too scared to speak. He'll keep holding you in silence and wondering if you're doing the same. Sometimes, he smiles when someone brings you up so easily, so casually, but you can see it if you look closely. The way his jaw tenses ever so slightly, the way he pauses before replying, like he's chasing your name through a hallway full of closed doors, trying to choose which one won't break him. He won't say much, just a small, polite comment, maybe a half laugh, but behind his eyes, you're still a story unfinished. When people talk about you, he listens more than he should. He wants to know you're happy, or at least okay. But also, he wants to hear that maybe, just maybe, you still speak his name too. That somewhere in your day he still lives in a glance, or a song, or a second of wondering. And when no one else is around, that's when he lets go. Just a little. He opens that drawer where he keeps pieces of you. A photo, a voice note, a text he never deleted. He tells himself he's just being nostalgic, that it's harmless. But when he hears your voice again, even just for a few seconds, his whole chest tightens. There it is again. That ache he can't name. And the worst part? It's not even that you're gone. It's that you were real. That what you had was real. That he knew it and still let it go. Not because he didn't care, but because caring terrified him. You made him feel seen, not admired, not chased. Seen. And for a man who spent most of his life hiding parts of himself, that kind of intimacy was like light flooding a room he'd kept locked for years. It warmed him, but it also burned, so he turned away. But the light, it never really left. It lives in him now, quietly, softly, like a shadow that glows. And when he hears your laughter in his memory, it doesn't fade. Some days he tries to move on, tries to meet someone else. He tells himself that love is just a decision, that he can make it work again with someone new, but it never quite lands the same. They don't look at him the way you did. Don't understand the silence in him. Don't ask the questions you asked. Don't stay present when his voice trembles. They like his smile, but they don't know the weight behind it. They enjoy his charm, but they don't see the fear beneath it. You did. And when someone sees all of you and still chooses to stay, that doesn't disappear. That carves itself into your bones. He doesn't talk about you to many people. He's not the type. But when he does, his voice shifts. Softer, slower, more reverent. As if saying your name still matters, still costs something, still holds power. And it does. Because you weren't just another chapter. You were the moment the story changed. He tries to be okay. Most days he island, he laughs, he works, he lives. But some nights, he finds himself staring at the ceiling, whispering questions to the dark. Did I ruin something that could have been everything? Did she know I loved her, even when I couldn't say it? Does she ever think of me, the way I think of her? And the silence answers him like it always does, not with certainty, but with ache. And that ache, that's you, still living in his chest, still haunting the spaces no one else reaches. Still reminding him of the life he could have had, if he'd just chosen differently. He doesn't know how to let go. Not really. He pretends. He smiles. He plays the part. But deep down, he's still holding your memory like a map worn, faded, but never thrown away. Just in case one day you find your way back. And if you ever did come back, if by some miracle you stood before him again, with that familiar softness in your eyes and that quiet question in your heart, he wouldn't know what to say at first. Because there are no words big enough for regret that deep. He'd look at you like he was remembering how to breathe. Like you were sunlight after too many years of winter. Like you were forgiveness wrapped in skin and warmth and hope. But he wouldn't rush. He wouldn't try to explain everything. He'd just take you in slowly, fully. Because in that moment, all the noise would fall away. The reasons, the excuses, the fear, and all that would remain is the truth that never stopped beating inside him. He never stopped loving you, not in the way we love people because we need them, or because they fit neatly into our lives, but in the way we love someone because they are carved into the shape of our soul. You were never just someone he dated. You were the first time he felt truly known, and yes, he got scared of your depth, of your softness, of how much he wanted to be enough for you but didn't believe he was. So he pushed you away before you could confirm his worst fear, that love this real could still leave. But it did leave, or maybe you did, and when you walked away, he learned something he never expected. That losing you wasn't a relief, it was ruin, and he hasn't been the same since. He measures time differently now, not by days or months, but by before you and after. He became quieter, softer in some places, harder in others. He started noticing the details more. He reads more now. Writes sometimes 2 half-finished sentences that carry your fingerprints. He looks at the moon differently, still catches his breath when he hears certain songs. And when someone mentions love, he goes quiet. Because what does he say? That the love of his life slipped through his fingers because he was too afraid to close his hand. That he traded truth for silence. That he thought he had time. He thought you'd wait forever. But now he knows. Forever only lives in the hearts that are brave enough to speak. And he wasn't. Not then. But now. Now, he thinks of you in moments he used to think of nothing at all. In the small, mundane rituals of life, folding laundry, brushing his teeth, standing in line at the grocery store. You are not a ghost. You're not even a memory. Your breath, your thread. You're the quiet hum underneath every ordinary thing. And sometimes he smiles at the sky like he's apologizing, not for what he did, but for what he didn't do, for every word left unsaid, for every moment he pulled away when all he wanted was to stay. He knows now. He knows love doesn't need to be perfect to be worth fighting for, and you are worth fighting for, always. So if you've ever wondered if you've ever stood in your own silence, aching to know, yes, he still thinks about you, more than he wants to, more than he admits, more than he can say. Sometimes, he wonders if you know, if somehow, through the ache and the time and the silence between you, your heart still hears his. He wonders if your fingers ever hover over your phone, like his do, trembling with the weight of all the words that never made it past your lips. He wonders if you still walk by places you once stood together, slowing your pace. Not because you expect to see him, but because part of you hopes to feel what you once felt. He wonders if you still feel it. That thing, that invisible current that lives between people who once touched each other's souls. He doesn't believe in many things anymore. Life shook that out of him. But you made him believe in something again. Something deeper than love. Something quieter than desire. Something almost spiritual. He never told you this, but he prays for you. Not in a religious way, in a human way. He closes his eyes sometimes and just sends something into the air. A wish, a whisper, a hope that wherever you are, you feel peace, that you're surrounded by love, that someone looks at you with the kind of reverence he never learned how to give you in time. He imagines you laughing again, freely, without the weight you carried when you were with him, without the effort of trying to heal someone who wouldn't stop breaking himself. He hopes you've let go of the pieces of him that hurt you, even if he still holds the pieces of you that healed him. Because that's the thing, you healed him more than he ever deserved, with your patience, with your softness, with your refusal to give up on someone who hadn't yet learned how to stay. And maybe that's the hardest part for him now, knowing that the person he became, the quieter, more tender, more present version of himself, is someone you'll never get to meet. He thinks about that often, how cruel it is to finally become the man you deserved after you're already gone. But sometimes, growth only comes through loss. Sometimes, the only way we learn how to love is by watching someone walk away and realizing they were home all along. He never said it, not properly, but he loved you in all the broken ways a person can love, in all the unfinished, unspoken, unhealed ways. He loved you through silence, through distance, through the ache that followed him long after you left. And he still does, not in a clinging way, not in a way that hopes to possess you, but in that rare, soul-deep kind of way that asks for nothing and yet offers everything. He would never ask you to come back. He wouldn't put that weight on your chest. But if you ever did, if one day the universe found you both standing in the same place again, a little older, a little softer, a little more ready, he wouldn't hesitate this time. He wouldn't hide behind his pride. He wouldn't let fear do the talking. He would look you in the eyes with everything he's carried in silence and simply say, I never stopped. Not thinking, not feeling, not loving. And maybe you'd say nothing. Maybe you'd just nod. Or maybe you'd finally let the tears fall, the ones you held back for years. And in that moment, two hearts that never truly let go would meet again. Not in desperation,